Hi, I'm James Foster, and this is Careers Matter. And welcome to this live session where we were going to talk about some of your career related questions. I'm going to start proceedings with a couple of questions that I've already prepared. But if you have any questions, feel free to add them into the stream, and I will pick them up and answer them as I get to them. Hang around to the end because at the end of this, I'm going to talk about a specific event that's coming up next month that you may find interesting. In fact, there's two events that are coming up next month that you may find interesting. So hang around to the end, and I will discuss and explain what these are all about. So first, let's talk about the first question: why do I hear nothing back when I apply for a job? Quite simply, the reason you don't hear anything back when you apply for a job is because the job may already have been filled, or the job may be close to completion, uh, or it may not exist at all. So now that might sound a little bit superficial, but it's a fact that a lot of the time, the roles that you're applying for online, they don't exist. They are ghost jobs. They've been made up for whatever reason people feel is appropriate to them for having that job up there. Maybe they want to attract profiles of a certain type into their database, or maybe they have to advertise a particular job that they've already filled because it's part of their process to do so. Um, there's all sorts of reasons, but when you look at the advertised job market, uh, a- it's probably true to say that 15-20% of the jobs are not real, or they've been filled already. And that's one really good reason, one really big reason why you don't hear anything back. Another one is about the volume of the applicants that are coming through at the time. Um, you know, when I used to advertise jobs, I'd very often get many tens, 50, 60, 70, I think even 100, 150 at times, applicants through within the first few days. That's an awful lot of CVs to get through. And there are processes, which we'll discuss in a moment, about how to get rid of some of those. But at the end of the day, you've got an awful lot of profiles to get through. And some of the times, one of the things that happens is you actually get through, let's say, the first 20 or 30, and have got the candidates you want to go through for interview, and therefore the rest are sort of on a back burner until those ones have been processed. Or another reason for that is that you just get lost in the whole process, and your CV doesn't get picked out for one reason or another. And let's have a look at why those reasons are that they may not get picked out. So misalignment with the job requirement. When you've put your CV in, one of the things, big mistake people make, it's a huge mistake people make, is just sending a one size fits all CV into every job they apply for. Uh, that's If you do that, you deserve what you get. The facts of the matter are that you know you've got to tailor your CV to the job. There's a job description there, or there's a job advert that you've read that has got certain requirements. Make sure that your CV reflects the fact that you have what is required in one way or another. And again, if we were to talk a bit more about how to write a CV, which I will talk about later on in this presentation, then I would talk about how you can actually make your CV really relevant by highlighting what you've achieved and how that's impacted the organizations you've worked for, and in context, why that's relevant to the role that you're applying for. So it's really important that to get your CV selected, that it actually is relevant to the role that you're applying for. And if it doesn't appear to be relevant, it's gone. Recruiters' limitations. This is a good one, really. Let me talk you through what happens. You send in your job uh, application, It goes through an ATS, and we're going to talk about ATSs in a minute. Let's suppose it comes out the other end, and the recruiter gets to read it. He's been given a set of criteria that he's got to match that CV to, and he's not necessarily technically qualified to do that matching. So he's just looking for the right, that your CV saying the right things, using the right phraseology, the ones that he's been told to look out for. And if it's not there, he's not going to spend an awful lot of time trying to find it. If you can't see it easily, you're binned. um, an interesting point. I was talking to a client earlier today about this. Your CV in that process gets probably 20 seconds, and that's about it. If it doesn't grab attention in 20 seconds, if it hasn't told the person why they need to be interested in you sufficiently within 20 seconds for them to want to know more and read on, it's gone. It's in the no pile, it's in the bin, and it doesn't come back from that. It's dead. So when I say the recruiter's limitations, it's not limitations. The facts of the matter are that the recruiters, the internal recruiters, they are not technical whiz kids. They don't know your job. They don't know the hiring manager's job, and therefore you've got to make it as easy as possible and spell out why they should be interested in you. Then we talk about the ATS system. ATS, applicant tracking system. These days, that's increasingly becoming more AI oriented, but there's always been applicant tracking. The applicant tracking system is a process model, if you like. You get a flood of CVs in at the opening of the funnel, and they are filtered out along the way until you get the stream of CVs that become candidates that are being interviewed for the job, and ultimately that get offered the job. And that's the whole process through the ATS. It's supposed to monitor and track that the whole way through, provide the feedback capability, etc., etc. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Feedback would be good if you got some feedback for some of these things. However, that is as it is at the moment. So the ATS then, the first thing to note is that it is not designed to filter you out if you're qualified. It's not designed to do that. It might have sifting questions, and depending upon the answers to those questions, you will be binned or not binned. That might have a couple of clear directives about, say for example, geography or something like that. If somebody's not living in the UK, we don't want to know. So it might sift out on that basis, but it isn't going to go through and say, oh, it doesn't have all these keywords, we're not going to, this CV is not getting through. That's the job of the recruiter. The applicant tracking system, uh, and with the AI technology now, it is more capable of doing this. But the applicant tracking system will prioritize, will put forward profiles with a weighting factor or that sort of thing, but it's not going to get rid of CVs if they are relevant. It's only going to get rid of the ones that are totally irrelevant. Um, you know, you will have heard that if you haven't got the right keywords in, you're not coming. You're not getting through the process. Well, that's the whole process, and it's not just the keywords. It's actually going back to what I said earlier about the relevance to the role. So we're not talking here about a system that's going to go, that word's not there, you're gone. It's really doesn't work in that way quite as much as some people think it does. And finally, tire kickers. We're going back now to what I said before, the high volume of applicants, and so many of those applicants are totally irrelevant. And the thing with that is that it's all too easy for somebody to sift out a load of applicants based upon um, criteria, a certain level of criteria. And what that basically means is, because there's a lot of tire kickers there, you are not getting you're not getting in front of the right people. That it does it, you're sort of getting lost in that malaise, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So the point there is there are multiple reasons why you won't get through the process. What do you do about that? You know you're the right person. What do you do about it? Pick up your phone, call the company, ask them where you are in the process, ask them why you've not heard back. It's it was amazing. I When I was doing recruitment, anybody that phoned me got my attention. Always got my attention. Now, I wasn't an internal recruiter; I was an external recruiter. But even so, it's the same rule applies. If you call the company and speak and ask to speak to the person that's managing the job, uh, it will get rid of a lot of those problems. Uh, you know, they may not want to talk to you. I don't know. A good recruiter will always want to talk to you. Bad recruiters, not so much. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you think that your profile is being missed and is appropriate, pick up the phone and talk to them and find out where you are in the process and why you've not heard back. And if you get a Dear John rejection letter, and you think that's wrong, pick up the phone and ask them. It's quite simple. You know, they are not perfect at doing their job, so help them out a little. So, on to question two. Question two then. I know I'm qualified. Why is my application rejected? So, this is really just carrying on from what we've been talking about, and it's quite deliberately designed to be like that. So, the first reason that you're rejected, as I've already pointed out, is relevance to the role. If you have certain things that you've done in your career, um, one of the things that you've got to make sure is that when the person is reading your CV, they actually read those certain things about your career easily. And that's all to do with the way you lay out and design your CV. And I have a CV writing guide, which I'm going to talk about later on, which explains exactly how to do that. But it comes down to this: that if you think of a newspaper, you have a newspaper that's held in a shop. It's put on a stand, and the whole idea of that newspaper is to grab your attention. So you're looking at the newspaper and you see the headlines they want you to see to grab the attention. And those headlines all go at the top of the newspaper. It's called above the fold. You fold the newspaper, you put it in, it's above the fold. Below the fold isn't seen. The bit that grabs the attention is the above the fold bit, and that's really important. So, where's the above the fold bit on your CV? Well, it's the first page, and it's the top half to two-thirds of the page central. So if you imagine the layout of your CV, you've got your name at the top, maybe your contact details below that, a profile section underneath that. That profile section is where you tell them why you're relevant to the role, and then below that, I suggest you write a load of achievements. What you have done with your skills that has made a difference, impacted the organization, and therefore is telling them about the value you have to offer. That's above the fold. That's the sales area of your CV. That's where you grab attention. If you are not telling people in that area there why they should be interested in you, they're not going to be. As I said, you get 20 minutes, 20 seconds to make an impression. If you don't make an impression in 20 seconds, your CV is put in the no pile and it doesn't come back. There's no coming back from that. Once it's in the no pile, these people have got far too much to do. You can imagine yourself as a recruiter. He's got 3 or 4 jobs he's working on for the organization. He's got 50 to 100 CVs coming in for each one of those jobs. Make it easy for him. Explain in that above the fold section why you are right for the job. That's so important. We talk about the ATS. We talked about that earlier. The ATS will look across your whole CV to weight, to give a weighting factor to the CV, and therefore, you know, wherever you've got your skills listed, if you feel that it's necessary to list skills, and I would always suggest at the bottom, because actually the skills aren't that important. It's what you've done with your skills that are important. Um, the so it How you lay out your CV doesn't matter to the ATS, but it does to the hiring manager and the recruiter. Those two people have got to. It's got to be easy for those two guys to see what you have done, what you have achieved, the difference that you have made, how you have impacted things. That's absolutely vital. Um, so there are several stages of review. There's that first sifting stage, which is your ATS. Then there's the second sifting stage, which is the recruiter's sifting stage. And that's where you've got to be obvious. And then there's the third one, the CVs probably go to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager will select the guys that he's going to interview. And here it's important that you try and work out who your hiring manager is and find out a little bit about him so that you can make sure that your CV um, answers what's important to him. These days with LinkedIn, you can actually go onto LinkedIn. You can find out who these people are. You can actually see what they say about themselves, what they do in their job, how they, what their challenges are, etc., etc. It's likely to be in LinkedIn, and in that sense, you can actually make sure that the achievements that you're writing about answer his problems, and that really does make a big difference. If you can tailor your CV in that context, it's really, really important. So those are the two questions that I have for the moment. Um, has anybody got any other questions? I've not seen any comments come in yet. If anybody's got any other questions that they would like to be answered, then please drop those in the stream now, and I will pick them up here and answer them. Without that, I will move on to closing this out and telling you about these events that are going to happen next month. So I've had a cold, so my voice is quite dry. Okay, so here's what I'll do now then. So on the 21st and the 28th of November, I am going to be running 2 live CV workshops. The first one of those I will both be about an hour long. The first one of those will be to review a number of real CVs that I pull in from the audience. So there will be an opportunity for you to present your CV if you want it to be pulled apart in public, and I will do exactly that. I will pull your CV apart in public. I'll take you through it, show you what's good, what's not so good, and give you suggestions for how to improve it. That'll take about an hour. I think that's proven to be really valuable to people when I do that with them on a one-to-one basis. Doing it on a many-to-one basis like this, I've done it a couple of times, and it really has been successful. It will give you clarity as to, in my terms, in the way that I think about this, as to what is going to really move the needle with your CV if you make certain changes. What's going to make it more impactful? How are you going to get it to the top of the pile? How are you going to get it to stand out? And I think that's quite important, that you understand that in order to get your CV to stand out, you need to be answering the questions that are going on in the mind of the hiring manager, and to a certain extent the recruiter. I have picked up a couple of questions here. How do you apply all that you mentioned onto a CV for people switching roles? Very good question, Murphy. It's about these stories again, about the value that you've brought. And what you have to do is you have to bring those stories about what you've achieved in a way that explains how it is transferable into the role that you're going into. So if you're changing, if you're changing from one function to another function, it's a matter of showing the transferability of the skills, the experience, the achievements that you've had here, and how they will match into the new role. To be clear, you know, um, to be more clear about that, I would need to know a bit more about what the role is that you're going from and to, and then we can look at that specifically, how we would align that. Um, CV roast sounds good. Great. Thanks for that. Yes, roast CV. Murphy, did that answer your question? Or did it give you a hint at the answer of the question? It's certainly something that if you want to come to and set up a session with me, and I'll have a chat with you about it on a one-on-one, if this is important to you, um, go on to careersmatter.co.uk and schedule yourself a meeting. There's a facility for doing that, to schedule yourself a meeting with me. That's on careersmatter.co.uk. Um, if I've from engineering to cybersecurity, right, with experience and certificates included. Okay, I think I would love to answer that one for you. Set up the meeting, Murphy, and let's have a chat one to one. No charge for it. You get a free 20-minute session. We'll go over exactly that. If you can send me your CV as well, and I can maybe show you how we can try to realign that. Um, is that good for you? Yep. Yes, so can I. I can see it transferring well as well. So yeah, let's do that. If you're up for it, go onto my website. Um, Probably about two-thirds down the page, you will there's a facility for setting yourself up a meeting. Um, so as I said, so I've got these 2 live sessions coming up next month. How do you get onto them? Well, that's quite straightforward, because I am doing that for anybody that purchases my CV writing guide. I've got the ticket going through now, and in the notes for this meeting, there is a link that will take you onto that. The CV writing guide is a CV, is exactly that. In fact, I'm going to show it you. Since I've got it here, I will show it you. Share screen. Share screen. I just love the way it does this. It takes you for about 20 pages to get to share your screen. So if I now go on to here, this is my CV writing guide for professionals. It's an 18-page document. Let's try that again, and this time you might be able to see it. It's an 18-page document that takes you through all the processes needed to write a CV effectively. And as you can see on there, it didn't share the screen properly. This is the first time I've actually done sharing screen on this tool, so apologies for that. Present, share screen again. Entire screen, that one there, share. So now you should see my CV writing guide, and I can see it's coming up on here. So this, as I say, it's an 18-page document that goes through all the processes that you need to put together an effective CV. You can see a little bit of history here. The first CV was written by Leonardo da Vinci. He got the job as well, by the way. And what he did is he basically wrote a letter that described absolutely everything that he had done when he was applying. I can't remember who it was he was applying to now, but he was applying to one of the cities that he was going to work in, to do one of their big jobs that he was trying to do. One way or the other, he described everything in detail. That was the first CV ever written. But we go through the objectives, a little bit about your personal brand, talk about online tools, etc. Basically, what I'm trying to show you here is that it is quite comprehensive, and we go through everything that you're going to need: how to write a profile, how to write your achievements, how to put it all together. There's a video here, 25-minute video that talks about creating those achievements, what you need to do to create those achievements and how to display them, etc., etc. And this is, as you can see, quite comprehensive. We talk about your cover letter, creating a video profile. This is becoming increasingly more important to be able to do that. And when you're applying for jobs, applying with a video is very powerful. Um, and your LinkedIn profile, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So all of that is included in this CV guide. And that is just £24. If you buy that, you are automatically into those 2 days. That's on the 21st and the 28th. If you can't make either of them, you'll get the recording anyway. So those live sessions on the 21st of November, the 28th of November at midday, entry is by buying the CV guide. The access for doing that is using that bit.ly link there, or it's actually the link is in the description from this on this video now. I've seen a couple of other questions coming in. What is the ideal length of a CV, especially as I have over 40 years of experience? 2.5 pages. The first page is, as I've just described it, the top half of it is your sales area. You have the most recent job described underneath that, and it should be the dates that you're there, your job title, a brief the company name, a brief description of the job, 1 sentence, and 4 bulleted achievements that you attained within that job. The rest of the page, the rest of the next page, all of page 2, is a summary of the rest of your career. You only need to detail going back about 12 to 15 years and then completely summarize the rest. So if you go back 12 to 15 years and you list the jobs in the way I've just described it, with 4, 3, and 2 bulleted achievements, and then summarize the rest, and then on the next page you put your qualifications, certification, and I would suggest testimonies as well, testimonials from people that you've worked with on some of the achievements. And the reason for that is because you're basically affirming that what you're saying on your CV is true and that people can rely on it. That's it, Duke of Milan. Very good. So I'm from Pakistan, but he rejected on my CV and apply. Sorry, I don't quite get what that is, Syed. Can apply the Cal Centre many times. I can apply. I'm not quite following the question, Syed. What I would suggest, Syed, is set yourself up a call with me, and we can have a chat about that. Go onto my website and use the link on there to set yourself up a 20-minute call. Quite happy to do that for anybody on here, by the way. Anybody on here who wants to set themselves up a call with me, free to do so. Do you always need to submit a cover letter? The way I do it, yeah, you should always need to select to send a cover letter. The cover letter is a really good way of telling people why you're the right person for the role, and not rely on them reading your CV. And you put in an application, and it's going through a process. Try and get the name of the person that's going to read it first, and apply it directly to him. Always use people's names. People like their names, so always be friendly to them and use their name. And in there, say exactly why you are applying, and then give them a good reason why they should be looking more deeply into your profile. So that's one of the achievements that we were talking about earlier. On the CV, should it be the key achievement for each role? Relevant key achievements, I should perhaps say. So you're applying for a role. I would usually list probably 5 key achievements. The top 1 or 2 should be the most relevant to the role, and then the other ones which really talk about you as well, and what you've done generally. But the first 2 should definitely be appropriate to the role. And no, not necessarily from all the roles. You can take them from the same company that you've been working for. You can take them all from the company you've just been working with. It's relevant to um, it's what's relevant to the role you're applying for. The whole point here is that you're tailoring your CV to the role. Side again, sir. Can you give me answer? Uh, As I've said, Said, I can't understand the question. If you can put the question again, I'll try and answer it. On the other hand, if you want to have a chat with me, book a call, and I will have a chat with you on a Zoom meeting. I can't see the link to book a session with you, or do I buy? Let me just put the link in here to book a call with me. Is it going to let me do this? Can't post comments to LinkedIn. There you go. I can't at the moment. I can't post. I can't send a post out, which is a bit. What I'll do, chaps, is I'll put the link for booking a call with me on the post after this call. So if you can't find it on the website, I'll put it in the description here. If you want to buy the ebook, it's or the e-booklet, I should say, it's available. The link for that is on there. It take you to a landing page. Okay, has that answered everybody's questions? Has there anybody got anything more that they want to ask now? Have I given you what you need? Yeah, as I said, Said, the website link I'm going to put into the description after this, after I finished on here. I can't, for some reason, I can't post onto LinkedIn from the device that I'm in. Carry on again. Can I tell you more about submitting a video? Um, so the way I would use a video is I wouldn't necessarily do it on a job application in the way from a traditional sense. What I mean by that is I I would I quite I suggest that people, when they're applying for a role, maybe don't use the traditional application process and maybe go directly to the hiring manager with a proposal. And this is the time that you can use your video to create that proposal that says, here, this is who I am, this is what I can do for you. Let's meet, let's discuss. The other area that I talk about with the video in the CV guide there is the increasing use of video by companies that ask you to create a video for them. So they may have a tool. Higher View is one of the ones that I know gets used quite a lot, and they ask questions in there. And really, it's about it is one of the most difficult things you can imagine to do, going on to sitting in front of a camera and actually trying to answer questions in a tool like Higher View. It's quite an interesting process. I used to use it a lot when I was a recruiter for my candidates. But what I did with them is I would interview them one to one and then use that interview to my clients so that they could see the way that the candidate has come across in that interview, and that was extremely effective. Um, yeah, so for video, I've recorded a loom and shared it. Not sure if this is the best practice, but easy to share a link. Um, the loom idea, yeah, that can work if it's done well, if it's scripted and done well, and if it gets across your value. Quite honestly, sitting here in front of a camera and recording um, what you want to get across, what I would suggest is using a tool like teleprompter, which is showing it you on here. on your mobile phone, script what you want to say, hit the play button, and just talk straight to your camera like that. And that is probably one of the most effective ways of doing it. For video, I use the free Loom. Yeah, the Loom is, as I said, Loom is quite a good way of talking people through a presentation on a screen or something like that. I use it. I use it a lot in creating videos that go onto YouTube for showing people how to optimize their LinkedIn profile, for example, or how to how to look at a CV, how to uh, um, basically what's good, what's not so good in their CV. One of the services I do is a complete CV review for people. So you send me your CV, I do a 20 or 30-minute talk through your CV and say what's good and what's bad. This is the sort of thing I'm going to do at one of these meetings next month. Only I'm going to do sort of sections from several CVs, which will come from you. So you send me your CV. If you're happy for me to share it, I'll go out and I'll take that out to you, and we'll go through each one of those. And then the next week, after you've had a chance to adjust it, we'll do it again with the adjustments to see how they've come across. That's what the plan is. If I've missed any questions, I apologise. As anybody want anything pressing at the moment? Otherwise, what I will do is put the link after this meeting. And if anybody wants to schedule a call with me, I'm quite happy for that to happen. Any more questions? If not, I'm going to call it a day. So thanks, everybody. Thank you all for your time this afternoon. I hope it's been good for you. I hope you've got something from it. And I would really love to see you next month on those 2 live sessions. Thank you very much.